Mnangagwa is back from Zimbabwe after he traveled to South Africa just for a day. He couldn't even sleep and maybe most probably go back home tomorrow. It's hard for this man to leave his country for almost 2 days, taking into consideration the current political climate in Zimbabwe. And things seems not to be working well for Emerson Mnangagwa. And he senses it. That things are not working very well for him. That is why it's impossible for him to go for more than 2 days without sleeping in Zimbabwe. He suspects that a lot could potentially go wrong. Greetings and welcome to your lovely channel, the Hlonipani Global News. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. So, everything about Mnangagwa these days is calculatively done. When he left Zimbabwe, he had to leave Kembo Mohadi, acting president, acting president, instead of retired General Chiwenga. Someone can say, no, they can alternate. But I think this is the second time Kembo Mohadi is left actually carrying the reins, being the acting president. Remember, I've repeated that last time we heard from Knox Chivero was that Emerson Mnangagwa was planning to actually make his wife to be the president and the person who is trusted to be an interim president, especially while that process has to unfold within the Parliament of Zimbabwe within a month or so, is none other than Kembo Mohadi. And because that process is likely to be undertaken. Remember, at the moment, things may be reported and some of them, they don't happen, not because they were not reported accurately, but because Emerson Mnangagwa is experimenting. You can tell factionalism in ZANU-PF is still the order of the day. As long as the 2030 term extension is still on the horizon, don't ever think that Emerson Mnangagwa is not in trouble. I don't have to explain it further that Chiwenga and Mnangagwa, they are water and oil. You can tell from the look of things. Of course, there are state events such as welcoming a president. It is part of the protocol to see Mnangagwa with Chiwenga. And at that moment, they have to share one or two exchanges. But that does not make them friends. And of course, Kembo Mohadi is trying to play safe within these two gentlemen, and at the same time being used, but the men, no one actually, sometimes you feel sorry when you look at Kembo Mohadi. So the summit, yes, the SADC summit is over. That's why you see Emerson Mnangagwa going back. It was concluded today. He handed over the chairmanship. Remember, because of what happened in Madagascar, SADC decided to give Mnangagwa temporarily the chairmanship. And it is now, it is part of South Africa now because of what happened. There was a coup that happened in Madagascar, and the SADC resolved to give temporarily Emerson Mnangagwa the reins. He has been actually the SADC person, but when it comes to SADC, he's relieved of that duty after a year, and then maybe if he's still the president after others have rotated, he will still also come back as the chairperson, provided also he would be alive at that time. But I can tell you, if Mnangagwa was to be alive at that time, he would actually definitely be in power, and if things goes according to his plans, because he plans to be in power until he dies. So, as much as I was saying, as much as there is 2030 term extension, and as much as this CAA 3 still exists, don't ever think that the fights between Emerson Mnangagwa, retired General Chiwenga, and other retired generals on the corner of Chiwenga has stopped. And the events that took place today of burying brigadier generals, as well as other retired military generals, especially who played a pivotal role during the coup of 2017, all of this is going to be, we are going to be reporting it. I mean, maybe it will take a week, maybe days, but I don't think more than a month before they go back again to the National Heroes Acre, because someone is trying to eliminate a certain crop of retired generals so that it becomes easier for him to be the president up to 2030. Don't mind, of course, in terms of paper, Mnangagwa is set to be the president up to 2030. But remember, it's not the paper that decides that. At one point, the paper had fired Emerson Mnangagwa from being the vice president of Robert Gabriel Mugabe and potentially taking over from Robert Gabriel Mugabe. But after some weeks, all that was reversed. The paper was overcome. So the Constitutional Amendment Act may be celebrated by a lot of Parakashi, especially who see things from today's perspective, not from what may happen within weeks and months ahead from now. So these gentlemen, obviously, when they are together, they try to chat, they try to. That's why you see most of these discussions, because welcoming a president, you just welcome, and they get into the cars, then you talk. Maybe you agree to meet, but these gentlemen, whenever they meet in these state events of welcoming a president, that's where Chiwenga gets an opportunity to say one or two words to Emerson Mnangagwa, and they exchange laughs. If you look at the picture of Matuke behind, he appeared to be shocked. Oh, these people, they appear not to be in good terms, but they try somehow to manage the conflict of interest that is existing between them, especially on public spaces. A lot, but that's why Kalip Barakashi will always say, look, so and so is saying Chiwenga and Mnangagwa, they are not in good books. They will show you the pictures and say, look at what the pictures are showing. They are showing a totally different picture, because they see they are moved by appearance, but appearance is not always the reality. So now, also Mnangagwa being back today, other presidents are still in South Africa. I can attest to you. They did not rush to the airport to go back to their respective countries to be received at night. Most probably they're going to go back tomorrow or other days to come. But for Emerson Mnangagwa, it's difficult to go for a long period of time away from actually trying to outmaneuver his challenge, that is Chiwenga, as well as also the retired military generals. Because in my view and the way I see things, the contest between Chiwenga as well as Emerson Mnangagwa is still ongoing. Of course, you may not be seeing any movement like before the signing of Constitutional Amendment Act number 3, but that doesn't mean it does not exist. By the way, any plan that has to oust Emerson Mnangagwa has to be crafted secretly behind the scenes. I've seen from the look of things, it appears factions have disembarked from that intense fighting, but that does not mean that behind the scenes there is no plotting. That's why I said you're going to see many caskets. at the National Heroes Acre, because someone is still trying to prove himself. And you may see, maybe you may be surprised to see the other group also, I mean, trying to put more pressure to the current status quo to desist from 2030 term extension, or what they call Constitutional Amendment Act number 3 of 2026. So the succession dispute is still alive, and the gentlemen are still up in arms from the look of things. Thank you very much for watching us. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button, so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and send us stars. Is signing love and you. Let's meet on the other side.